Okay, good morning everyone. It's our time again for the sharing session. And before we start, I would like to give you a brief overview about the HHLM and also myself before I pass control to our presenter today. My name is Rita Choi. I'm the founder of HHLM. And HHLM is a human resources community for all the human resources profession in Asia to share and exchange ideas. And from time to time, we organize sharing sessions so as to add value to each other. And today, we are very, very glad to have our friend Rini from Indonesia to share with us about the Indonesian labor law. And as far as I know, is the labor law in Indonesia is in a much favor of employees. Let's find it out. And Rini is a very experienced HR professional in Indonesia who is the head of HR in a power company in Indonesia. So if you want to know more about her, I would like to pass the control to her so that she can talk more about her before we move on to the presentation. Okay, so really, your turn. Thank you.
Thank you, Rita.
You're welcome.
Thank you for joining this session today. My name is Rini, and I am right now is the head of HR and also GA for independent power producer operating across Asia Pacific, and I'm leading the HR function for Indonesia. So overall experience I have in HR is around 10 years. So I'm hoping that I can share whatever knowledge or common practice I know in Indonesia context. So can we start it now?
Sure, really.
All right.
Yeah, it's under your control. Yes, and questions can be asked. Once you have questions about Willy's presentation, just feel free to ask any questions. She'll be more happy to answer those questions. Thank you. Really, your turn.
Thank you. So the agenda that I will share in this presentation is consists of 4 parts. It's the employment terms and condition, types of leaves, disciplinary action, and resignation and termination. Okay. Hi, Reza. Okay, so in Indonesia, normally there are 2 types of employment. One is for permanent, and the other one is fixed term. So for the difference between permanent and fixed term is that for permanent employment, there is a probation of 3 months, and that extendable. But for fixed term, it should be no probation period, and total employment period is 3 years and only extendable for 1 time. So 3 years is the total. So the company needs to play around whether they're gonna offer it 2 years at the first contract and then extend it for another 1 year, or offer the all-year contract first and then extend it for 2 years. The second part is all employment agreement for Indonesia must be executed in Bahasa Indonesia. So what we usually do is that we make a bilingual employment agreement. One side is for Bahasa Indonesia, one side is for the translation in English. If there are any dispute for the employment part, the one that will be applicable in the court is the Bahasa Indonesia part. Our minimum salary for 2019 is around $268 per month. And then that is the minimum wages that we need to pay to the employee. Working hours is maximum 40 hours per week. Overtime, if beyond 8 hours of working per day, we pay, but only for a certain position. For example, like for cleaners, for all those junior staff. But usually for supervisor and supervisor above, manager as well, there is no overtime payment. And then we also have a mandatory social contribution, call it BPJS Manpower, Ketenagakerjaan, and BPJS Health. That is mandatory, and there is a contribution that must be paid by the employer and the employee. Aside from that, we also have, we call it religious allowance, that it's mandatory for all Indonesian employees, consisting of 1 month salary and whatever fixed allowances as in the employment agreement.
Okay, so really, I have
yes.
a question. You mentioned that usually an employee will sign 2 contracts with the employees, right?
Not contracts, but in the contract, we make it a bilingual contract. So one part is for example, the right part is we put it the Bahasa Indonesia version, and the left part is for the English version. So whenever the employee needs to review, they have both versions at the same time.
I see. But if there is any staff disputes about the contract, which language would be recognized by the court?
Indonesia.
Oh, okay, understand. Okay, and for this religious allowance, what would be the date of paying this 1 month salary and fixed allowance? Is that
so common practice? Okay, so common practice, we usually pay during the Muslim festivities, which is following the Islamic calendar. So every year will be different.
I see. Is that Ramadan? I'm not sure.
Yes.
Okay, usually paid after Ramadan, right?
Usually paid during Ramadan.
Oh,
so there is a So there is a regulation as well that regulate the THR payment, the religious allowance payment. This allowance, the religious allowance, must be paid 7 days before the Ramadan ends.
So nice, so nice. So if that's the case, can I say that in general, employees in Indonesia are paid on a 13-month basis?
Well, actually, it's not a salary. So this is, I think, the misconception. THR is a bonus.
Okay.
It is not a salary, actually.
Okay. So by law, it's only 12 months salary, right?
Yes, by law, it's only 12 months. Okay. But then we have one mandatory bonus that is called religious allowance.
Okay. And you mentioned that there are 2 types of employment contract in Indonesia.
Yes.
One is permanent and the other is a fixed term. Then
yes.
Under what circumstances would the employers enter a permanent contract? And under what circumstances will an employer enter a fixed terms with an employee?
So the permanent is we also known as indefinite employment period. So fixed term is the definite one. So there is a start date and end date.
Okay, so it depends on the nature of the job, right? Before an employee decides whether they should sign a permanent contract with the employee or a fixed term contract. Am I correct?
Yes, correct. So mostly for the fixed term, it's usually associated with project-based roles, or like temporary project that whatever company have in the year. Yeah.
I see. Understand. Okay, I don't have other questions. I'm not sure the other participants will have. Yeah.
But I also would like to share that the fixed term employment agreement, because you know that the probation that we have is only 3 months, right? And it's non-extendable. So sometimes the company felt that 3 months is not enough to review the new employee performance. So usually we will offer a fixed term contract first.
So that we don't have the restriction on the probation period, right? Actually, no probation period, meaning that
yes, no probation.
But we can still terminate the staff, right, during the fixed term contract.
Yes, but we also need to be very careful for the fixed term or definite contract, because if we want if the employer wanted to end the contract before the period ends, then we need to pay the remaining contract.
Wow. Wow.
Yes.
Even because of the performance issue of the staff, if they terminate
Yes.
them during the contract, they still have to pay them for the remaining, the salaries of the remaining months, right?
Yes, correct.
I see. Really, there is a question from Caroline for you.
Okay.
The chat box.
Okay, wait. Here. Is it here? Oh, no.
Yeah, there is a chat box. I think it's in orange. It's
Orange. Oh, yeah.
yeah, chat.
Okay. I really need for this bonus payment in the event of redundancy. Does it need to be included in the package? Okay, so for this, really, you are referring to religious allowance, right? So the regulation says that if the redundancy is done 30 days before the Ramadan ends, then it should be part of the package. But if it is done before the 30 days, then it does not include it.
Oh, okay. So is the employer will take into account of the timing, right? Before
Yes.
they take action.
Yes, correct. So when you need to do the redundant, then you need to consider the timing when the Ramadan will come.
Yeah, that is
If
very
you
true.
do it 30 days before, then this should not be included.
Wow, okay. Okay. Mm-hmm. I don't have other questions. Yeah.
Okay, so we can continue then.
Yes.
Okay, hold on. Ah,
Okay.
here. So types of leaves in Indonesia, we have annual leave. Minimum is 12 days per annum. That's the minimum. If the company wanted to raise or increase the annual leave balance of employee, then we can, but we cannot give less than 12 days. Sick leave. So this is where I think most of foreigners who work or invest in Indonesia sometimes complain about, because, for example, in Singapore, they can put a maximum of sick leave per year. But in Indonesia, you cannot, because, for example, if we are not coming to the office because of illness for one day, then there is no mandatory regulation saying that the employee must submit the doctor certificate. But if we are sick more than one day, then yes, we need to provide a doctor certificate.
But
And then, yes,
to be certified by a registered doctor, or any doctor can issue certificates and recognized by the company.
Technically any doctors.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because in Indonesia, we also have, this is applicable for female employee. We have I do not put it here. We have the menstruation sick leave for 1 to 2 days.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay. Very good.
And then we have the paternity leave for marriage of employees for 3 days. Employees' children marriage is 2 days. In the case of children circumcises or baptized is 2 days. And then the compassionate leave we have 2 different types. That's one is for immediate family member who pass away is 2 working days. And then 1 day is for family member who lives with the employee in house if he or she is passed away. The miscarriage is for 2 days. Maternity leave is for 90 days or 3 months. And this is the additional that I put is the collective mass holiday. So there are two kind of implementation of collective mass holiday. One is subject to deduction for annual leave, and the other one is the it's not subject to the annual leave balance. But that depends on the company policy. So for government offices employee, this collective mass holiday is not subject to their annual leave. So it's an additional leave that given by the government. But for most of private employees, it's subject to the annual leave deduction.
Oh, okay. Is it this collective mass holiday, is it related to religion?
Yes. So, for example, Ramadan, usually the official public holiday is only 2 days in Indonesia. But then, because in Indonesia is the most most citizen with Muslim religion, so the government usually add another 3 or 4 days to observe the Ramadan holiday. That's where the collective mass holiday is implemented.
Oh,
And also during Christmas, usually our government add another one more to observe the Christmas.
I see. Interesting. Yeah.
Okay. I think I have a chart. Okay. Okay. The next slide is about disciplinary action. So for Indonesia, if there is a disciplinary action that it will be a done or mitigate by a warning letter, which depend on severity of the action. We have 3 types of a warning letter, 1, 2, 3. Each of the warning letter valid for 6 months. And if the company issue a third warning letter, it can be used as the basis of when the company would like to dismiss the employee.
Do you have summary dismissal in Indonesia?
Redismissal? What do you mean?
Summary dismissal meaning,
Oh,
yeah.
summary?
Yeah, summary dismissal.
Never.
Meaning that the employee has committed a very serious offense, such as bribery or corruption, and then once it's found out, the company will dismiss this employee right away without any compensation. Does it exist in Indonesia?
Yes, we have those kind of summary of dismissal in the labor law. But the thing is, to dismiss an employee in Indonesia, I would say that it's not simple. Usually, if any criminal conducted by the employee and then it is found out by the employer or company, the the company cannot just dismiss the employee like that. Either we need to have a mutually agreed termination, or if the criminal is then reported to the police needs to do all the investigation or blah blah blah, and it needs to go to the court first. When the court already give the decision, then the employer can dismiss, not before.
I see. Okay. Without compensation or with compensation?
Because as you said at the first time, that Indonesia labor law is mostly favor to the employee. Although he is being investigated or dismissed due to like criminal act, sometimes just for the sake of not giving any further opportunity in the future for the employee to raise the case to the labor court, we usually pay some of termination payment.
Oh, I see. What would that be? How much would that be?
That depends on how much. Sorry, that depends on the severity of the action.
I see. Okay, so it depends. There is no fixed amount like 3 months of the salary or 12 months of salary as a company. Nothing, right?
No.
Okay. Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. The next one is for resignation. So for resignation in Indonesia, notice period is at least 30 days. And then payment of resignation usually consists of employee's last salary and unused annual leave. That's it.
How about within the probation period, the notice period is 30 days?
No, there is no unused annual leave payment, only for the last salary part. That's it.
How about notice periods during the probation period?
No, there is no notice period on that one.
Even during the probation period, then no notice period. Okay.
No.
Okay, understand.
Okay, so this is the termination part. The cause of termination is quite varies, and then it is regulated in each of the article in the labor law. As you can see, the number that I put is referring to the article in the labor law.
Voluntary resignation.
Yes.
Wow, the end of job contract.
So, on the cause of termination, the severance payment will be also different. Yeah.
So basically, the law in Indonesia has stipulated termination, cause of termination in a detailed manner, right? Meaning that if you are terminated under such a situation, what would be your compensation? Another situation, what would be your compensation? That means they are made discussed in a very detailed way. Okay.
Yes, yes. So the biggest payment according to for the termination according to the regulation is due to the efficiency or downsizing. That's the biggest amount.
Okay, what will be the amount, like the estimated amount?
Okay, so this is still continuing the cause of termination. So this one, so this slide, I put the component of termination payment. So there are 4, but technically the most common that is used in Indonesia is only the 1, 2, 3. Severance pay, long service pay, and compensation right. So for efficiency, for example, right? If there is a case like that, the severance payment will be ×2, and then the long service will be calculated based on the severance payment, and then compensation right will be calculated based on the severance pay and the long service pay.
Wow.
Yes. So if we go to the next slide, this is the severance pay. So, and depends on our service period or in the company. So if we work less than 1 year, the severance payment will consist of 1 month salary. It will be increased depend on our employment period with the company.
Earlier you mentioned that if an employee is terminated during the course of their contract, okay? And besides, am I correct if I say that besides being compensated by this in accordance with this slide, the information of this slide, the company still has to pay them the salaries for the remaining months?
Oh no, for the fixed term,
Huh?
if we wanted to terminate the contract without any disciplinary action, purely because, for example, the project we foresee is for 12 months, and then it is finished within 6 months, for example. So we don't need her or him in another 6 months, and we want to terminate the contract. So we need to pay the remaining 6 months contract.
Okay.
That's it. That's it.
Oh, so that has nothing to do with the disciplinary action.
No, that's not. That is nothing to do with the disciplinary action. If
So,
there is a disciplinary action for a fixed employee, then we still need to discuss with him, and then if we wanted to just end the contract, we need to mutually agree the termination of the contract, and then we probably need to pay the remaining contract and some kind of separation pay.
okay.
Here.
Understand. Okay.
Yes.
Disciplinary action. Okay.
But
Wow.
that's the separation pay is subject to the agreement between the company and the employee.
I see. Okay.
Okay. So aside from the severance pay, we also have the long service pay, and then the compensation right pay. As I mentioned, depend on the cause of termination. Usually, one is the company that we pay for the severance package.
Okay.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I think, yeah. So the separation pay, although regulated in the labor law, it is stated that the amount will be regulated by the employer and the employee in the employment agreement or company regulation or collective labor agreement. So there is no fixed amount in this separation pay.
Okay.
Okay, so that's about it in my slide.
I see. So really, I have the
Yes.
questions about this. Because I'm under the impression that in the government, in the labor ordinance, I think is all the under any situations in terms of termination or anything, any employment terms and conditions are detailedly specified or specified in the labor ordinance or labor law, right? In this case, does the law require a company to create a employee handbook, or you call it the employee regulations or office regulations in the company, so that wherever there is any staff disputes, the employee and the employer will refer to that handbook instead of referring to the laws? Because, like, say, for example, in China, or even in China in particular, the law is very broad. It only says the termination, okay? It doesn't stipulate different situations under which termination will take place. So a lot of times the company will establish or create their own employee handbook, detailing every scenario in terms of termination and so forth. So wherever there's any disputes, the employee will refer to that handbook. And that handbook has to register with the local authority. Does it happen in Indonesia?
Yes, but there is a minimum employee. So for the company to be able, for the company mandatory to have a company regulation or employee handbook if the company have at least 10 employees. If less than 10, it's not mandatory.
Okay.
Yeah, and then the same as what you are saying, where the disciplinary action is listed in the company policy. Yes, we also have that. And then once it's finalized, it needs to be ratified or registered to the local manpower office. But depend on how big is the company. For example, if the company in Indonesia doesn't have any branch office in other part of Indonesia, then the registration is only for the local district of manpower office. But if the company have a branch office, then the registration of company policy needs to be submitted to the Ministry of Manpower office, which is the central one.
I see.
Yeah.
Then is there any trade union or labor union in your country?
Yes, we have, but again, it depends on how big is the company. So, for example, if the company is a manufacturer company, usually they have a trade union. But if it's only like small company where the employee consists of like Vina Energy, we don't have trade unions because our total headcount in Indonesia is only 70. So we don't have trade unions.
I see, I see. So what is the biggest challenge in the labor market at the moment in Indonesia?
The biggest market?
The biggest challenge, yeah. In the market.
The biggest challenge
in the labor market, yeah.
For if I take my company as example, is the talent. Because talent, yes.
Okay.
Because renewable energy industry is quite new in Indonesia. In terms of engineering for renewable energy, there is still not much Indonesian who take that major. So yeah, we only have a very limited talent pool on that specific industry.
I see. Okay. So how would you deal with this challenge then?
Usually what we do is we engage a executive headhunter where they can locate Indonesian who take subject for renewable energy abroad and approach them, and then we usually give them opportunity to have internship.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So I just unmute everyone. I'm not sure if our friends who like this session have any question for Rini. Just ask her before we end the session. So quite lots of them. Yeah. Any question from my friend Caroline, Marie, Risa? Any question from your side? Okay, so if no questions from their side, I would end the session today. And so to end the session, okay.
Hello.
Hello. Yes, Marie. Yes, Marie, you want to say something? Oh, no. Okay, maybe I see connection is bad. So really, we would like to say something before we end the session today?
I just would like to thank you for your time, and hopefully I can give you an insight for Indonesia labor law. In case you have any questions, feel free to contact me. I would love to help.
Okay, thank you, my friend, really. So that has ended the session today, and we'll record this session. We are recording this session, and we'll show it in our watch party, and the date of it is to be advised. So have a very nice weekend to all of you. Okay, thank you. Thanks all. Bye-bye.
Thank you, guys. Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.